Well, thank you very much for that very gracious introduction, Gerard, and it's great to be here, and thank you to University SA. While I'm talking, I want to conduct something of an experiment, if you don't mind, a scientific experiment, so it'll be happening while I'm giving the presentation for the negative side. I've got this $20 piece here. It's an inanimate piece, but it is money. And I want to see whether in the process of my 5 minutes that inanimate objects animates me and brings me fulfillment, brings me happiness. Now, I remind you, ladies and gentlemen, that the topic is, as you see on the screens, money buys happiness. There's been the suggestion that money can buy happiness in the debate. That's not the question. The question is, does it buy happiness or not? And the proposition then needs to bring us back to actually understanding what's going on here. Now, Corinne, if I can actually refer to your comments, I thank you for your support for our side here. You said that you had a lot of money and you were unhappy. No, sorry, that's right, you didn't say that. You said you had a lot of money, but were you unhappy? No, you weren't unhappy, therefore you were happy. However, the key is that you had lost it all, and then you said you were not unhappy. So the losing of everything, in fact, seems to have brought happiness. You then brought the argument that, I'm just using her own words, you then used the argument that money finances the illusion, not the feeling, not the being of happiness, but the illusion of happiness. I find I'm agreeing with a lot that you say. Now, in actual fact, the word happiness takes its origin from the word hap, which is the word for chance or fortune. And everywhere in Europe, bar one case, the word for happiness in those languages takes its origin from chance or fortune. Now, you can't buy chance. People try to buy chance, they gamble, and they don't get it. So you can't buy chance. The one language in Europe where happiness, their word is not based upon chance or luck, is in fact the Welsh, where happiness is based upon the word wise. Now, if you look at the dictionaries and look at the definitions of happiness, I have never seen a definition of happiness that has at the end of it a recommended retail price that says you can buy it this way. Now, the reality is that if we actually look at the outcomes for where people have got more money, more affluence, what's been the outcome? In 1957, John Kenneth Galbraith wrote the book The Affluent Society. Well, in 2007, David G. Myers, in a work, Wealth, Well-Being and the New American Dream, decided to look at what had happened to American society in the intervening period, in that 50 years. He found that in that period, Americans had become twice as affluent. In other words, twice as much money. He also found that their index of happiness had gone down from 35% to 32%. More significantly, in this doubling of their wealth, their divorce rate had doubled. Their teen suicide rate had tripled. Their violent crime rate had quadrupled. And he refers to it as the great American paradox. Big houses brought broken homes, high incomes brought low morale. And of course that's coined the term affluenza. Now, I have been, through my time at World Vision and Anglicare, privileged to meet so many people around this world who do not have money, or do not have enough of it. In some cases, did not have any at all. They lived in subsistence societies where there was no money to negotiate with. And I can tell you the privilege it has been to meet people who, in circumstances far worse than mine, have made life work and indeed have made life happy. In Goma, in Congo, I came across somebody who was running a small store on a little card table selling things in the slums of Goma. And this person had written, Dieu m'a donné. God has given me this. Now, to a person who believes that money buys happiness, you would say this person was being sarcastic. God has given me this? But he wasn't. He was saying, God has given me this. He was grateful. He was happy. Happiness, to say money buys happiness, is to say that happiness is bought by money. The reality is that happiness is brought by resilience. The resilience of the human spirit. The resilience of human beings to take the circumstances they face and do something with that to make their lives full of meaning and worthwhile. There was a Jewish hospital that survived the war in Germany, in Berlin. It's a tragic story in its own right, but a story of resilience. They wrote about what happened, and this one person wrote in 1942, when every means had been deprived. They certainly had no money, and they were contained, imprisoned within this hospital, and wrote about this when they were having some fun. And then there came the time when we were not permitted to go to a movie, to a theatre, or a concert or anything. We formed our own theatre group in the hospital. There were people who wanted to be musicians. They could never get out and had no chances, and they played the piano beautifully. And there were people who had nice voices. So we formed our own theatre group, and we sang duets, and somebody played the piano, and we had great shows. The place was full. We had a good time. That's why I say I have happy memories too. Money, you did not buy that. Money, you are an illusion. How's the experiment gone? Do I feel happier because of you being there? No. Money, you are a very poor palliative. You do not animate. The audience does. The relationships of people do. That buys happiness.